Hey, what's up, Kalen here? Just got some questions for an interview for a blog from Limesharp agency out in the UK, and doing a video response here um, to the questions. Some actually really good questions. I think these are probably the best questions I've ever had for like a written interview type of thing. So here we go. Um, Take us right back to the beginning. How did you first find yourself involved with e-commerce and Magento? So I was working for an agency that did like PHP and Flash and stuff like that, and I was actually a project manager, and it just was not going well. I was pretty miserable there, and I had the urge to get back into development, but I'd moved from development into project management, and so I really one of my big takeaways from working at that company was the importance of specializing. So at that time, there's a lot of Facebook games being built, and we would work on a Flash website one day, a Facebook game, a social networking thing, and just there wasn't a lot of specialization. So I was like, man, I really need to um, pick a platform and really specialize deeply. And one of my takeaways also was to sort of be close to the money. So with e-commerce, you're close to the money, and so I think that that's a smart place to be. And because we were doing like Facebook games and social stuff and stuff that was really very kind of like speculative and stuff like that. So when I decided I wanted to get in e-commerce, I looked at the different platforms. I was very kind of systematic about it. I looked at OS Commerce and ZenCart, and because the learning curve with Magento was really steep, I was really close to like focusing in on like OS Commerce, which was funny. But I looked at the numbers, I looked at the growth rate of Magento. I was like, man, um, I really should go with Magento as hard as it is. So I decided to do that, and I started to do some freelance work on the side. I still remember, I think it was in November 2011. I was trying to figure out how to put a button on a product page, and I was stuck. And I bought Alan Storm's No Frills Magento Layouts book, and went from there and just figured it out. And then I was starting to do a little bit of freelance work, and then I got a job with Sweet Tooth loyalty program out in up in Canada, which is now Smile.io. So that was my first job as a Magento developer. Okay, you've been a bastion of Magento for many years now. What keeps you so enthusiastic about the platform? That's a good question. I don't know if it's part of my personality is kind of being generally enthusiastic. I don't actually always feel super enthusiastic. I mean, there's probably ways in which I'm possibly less enthusiastic now than I was like a few years ago. But you know, my work and my focus kind of shifts. You know, I'm not doing Magento development day in and day out like I was for the, I guess, 5 years or so since I'd gotten into it. And so I went from doing Magento development day in and day out, working at Sweet Tooth, a loyalty company, then working in house with a merchant, and again doing it day in day out. Then building MageMail, which is an email extension, and then focusing on MageMail for about 3 years, where I was really just focusing on building this SaaS app, and the Magento stuff I was doing was really kind of narrowly related to email. And then now with Commerce Hero, I'm not really coding with Magento. I do some Laravel coding to build that platform. And it's more about the connections I make with people, making those connections and stuff like that. And then I've been doing a lot of content with the Mage Talk podcast and with the Commerce Hero stuff and the video stuff. So I guess I've just been um, getting, following, different interests. And I think maybe that's part of it is having a little bit of variety in the type of work that I'm doing. But it's a cool community. Like when I went to Imagine this last year, I was actually kind of nervous going into it, and I was not feeling really that optimistic or that enthusiastic, to be honest. I was like, I don't know. And I got there and just had a blast. Like all the people I talked with, they're just great conversations, and really enjoy connecting with people. And part of the reason I've been doing these Commerce Hero videos was because at Imagine, I was like, man, I love having these conversations, and I wish I could sort of recreate this ability to just have conversations with people in the ecosystem more frequently. So, hope that answers that a little bit. Let's see. Tell us about Commerce Hero. Okay. Yeah. Tell us about Commerce Hero. What spurred you on to create the platform? What has the feedback from the community been like? And can you share any success stories you're particularly proud of? So what spurred me to create it was just always hearing this pain point, in the years that I've been in the community of man, I need to hire, we're hiring, we're looking for Magento developers, always hearing that over and over again. And I made a couple of organic referrals before I got into this business, where, because I knew different developers and I would know developers. And I'd also hear from the other side of it, from developers that are like, I'm looking for something else, or it's, I'm working with a client that isn't the greatest. So I was like, there's got to be a way to connect up these good clients with the good developers and filter out some of the not so good stuff. So that was kind of it. Just heard that a lot, and then when MageMail was sold, I was looking for something to do, and I was talking to my partner Eric, Mage Mojo, who's actually a partner in the Commerce Hero business, and they had a very similar pain point around with their customers needing Magento development support and needing to find good developers. So we decided to go in on it. One of my success stories, I would say, there's an agency that's done a bunch of hires. And here in the US, I think 5 or 6 now, and everybody has been so happy with. It's just been really cool to see how happy they've all been, because I check in with people after they start a job. I'll say, hey, how are things going? And sometimes it's like, they're going okay, but then for this particular agency, like, one person was like, this is the best job of my career. This is the best I've ever felt about my career. And just seeing people really happy and excited. And then on the flip side, like, feeling like these are really talented developers. Like, I'm really excited about the team that I'm helping them to build. So that's something that I'm really proud of. What does the future of Commerce Hero look like? Um, I think, I'm not a huge planner, so I don't have a really well developed 5 year plan or anything like that. I think it'll be more of the same. Hopefully, we can continue to grow. If I certain, particularly within the U.S., if I had more developers, that would be a good thing. So I need to find ways to find more developers. I've also been interested recently in, because mostly what we do with Commerce Hero is helping people to find senior developers or maybe mid-level. But I've been kind of interested recently in the idea of how can we get junior developers into the ecosystem? How can we get them trained? If we could streamline that, that'd be kind of cool, because you could create tons of great jobs for people that are just starting out. And then on the other hand, you could really help companies to find the talent that they need. So that's something I'm kind of thinking about. You recently branched into video, which is an area of content that e-commerce as an industry is fairly short of. What inspired you to create the first video? That's a good one. The first video, I can't even remember. I think there's like 160 videos now. I can't remember what the very first video is, but there's like the recent spurt of videos, which has been, I guess, maybe 3 months or so, is where I've really been hitting it hard. And then before that, I was doing video before that as well, which was, I don't know, I wasn't quite as focused on it. So in this most recent spurt, I'm trying to remember what the first video was. I don't know what exactly it inspired me to do it, but I think that video just seems like a very engaging medium of communication. And I'd always been hesitant to do video in the past, like even with Mage Talk, which we've done now for almost 4 years as an audio podcast. Philip had wanted to do video and he'd asked me about it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that's so dumb. Like putting your face all over the internet, kind of a douchey thing to do. So that was something that I was really like not a fan of for a long time. And then, but because I thought it's an engaging medium, like it's just a more engaging medium than text or audio, and it's something that's kind of emerging. So the kind of marketing side of me wanted to use it because it just seemed like an engaging way to communicate. But the other side of me was like, I don't want to do that. It's kind of dumb. And so I guess after thinking about it for long enough, the marketing side of my brain was just like, let's just do it. Um, so that was what happened there. We love watching your videos in the office and always find them to be full of insightful discussion. Thank you very much. A personal favorite of ours is the one of your latest with the B2B platform debate between Magento and Oro. Which video would you say is your favorite that you've created so far and why? That's a tough one. Which one is the favorite? The B2B one was it's interesting because it's tricky to find a balance between what is going to be popular, because you want things to be pop, you want things to get views. If you don't get any views, you feel kind of dumb. So it's an interesting thing between finding something that I'm interested in personally, but that also other people will be interested in. So the B2B one, for example, I think a lot of people were interested in. I think another one that I liked a lot was when we talked about remote versus in-house hiring with Jen from Taxjar and Eric from Classy Llama. And I liked that one a lot because that one was much less confrontational than the Oro one. The Oro one was cool, but thinking back on it, I feel like some of the things that were said were, maybe below the belt or just critical. Like I didn't really love that. I thought it was good to get the information out. I thought that was cool. But what I liked about this other one, the remote versus in-house, was it wasn't confrontational. It was much more collaborative, and it was on a topic that I was much more personally familiar with. Thinking about working in-house versus remote, having myself done both of those. I really enjoyed that one, and also it got some good traction. So I think that was one of my favorites so far. And then let's see here. From your Twitter feed, it often seems like you're a man of many hats and you're always searching for a new project to get stuck into. Do you have anything else on the horizon or any areas you're particularly interested in working within? And that's where I'd say the thing with the hiring and training junior developers is something that I'm interested in. I've tried to reach out to some different code boot camps to try to figure out maybe how to help them get developer graduates into jobs. And I've talked to a few different people about hiring out of code boot camps. A couple of those have been on the podcast. And that's something I'm interested in. So hopefully we'll make progress with that. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. And also, like, totally not work related, but I think I need to get more time like just outside of work, So like I got a bike the other day and I'm trying to ride, the bike and get exercise, get outside the house, which I think is important, especially for somebody like me that's always working and always thinking about work. It's so important to get some balance. I think the biggest priorities I have right now are probably non-work related, like trying to figure out how to build up my network here, friendship network here in Austin, and get more exercise and stuff like that. Which brings me to the last question. You currently reside in Austin, Texas, which seems to always be a hive of Magento activity. As Londoners, we'd love to know what the community is like over there and the best things about Austin. So Austin is really cool. I've been here for about 6 months now, moved here from LA. So we love it, got a new house and stuff like that. So that's been really nice, just on a personal level. And Austin is a cool city. We're about 30 minutes north, kind of in the suburbs. So there's a different kind of vibe out here versus downtown. Downtown is a great city, very, very, active, a lot of energy there. And as far as the Magento community, I've been to a couple of the meetups, which have been fun. When I was in LA, it was harder to make it out to the meetups because I was like way on the other side of town. And I think the meetups here are maybe a little more active, which is really fun. I think the London meetup is one of the most active meetups in the world, though. So you guys are probably doing fine out there. So yeah, so the meetup scene is cool. I've met some cool people out here in Austin. Gonna grab some beers tomorrow night with a buddy out here, from Magento, which is cool. So yeah, so it's a cool place. to be. And I don't know what else to say on that. But so yeah, it's a cool vibe out here. So I guess that about wraps it up, and I hope that was helpful. And thanks for watching.